Hi, welcome back to Where Are They Now? We have Tiff with us today, and she is going to be sharing her experience since she joined the pod. Actually, one of our very first retreats in Peru, the Mastering the Feminine Arts. It used to be biohacking and ayahuasca, but it really has evolved into this Mastering of the Feminine Arts union of women. Since then, has done her YTT with us in Bali, really traveled the world. We've had so many amazing experiences together, and we are also, we've been friends for a while. Me and Tiff have strangely, serendipitously met back when I was 16, and it's so funny how the world just brings people back into your realm in the most mysterious ways. Makes you think that everything really, truly is for a reason. But yeah, thank you so much. Again, this is a co-creation, so if you have any questions for us, Tiff, Soul School, just leave them in the comments below, and we're gonna have her join very shortly. She's just over here on Zoom with me. Beautiful. So where are they now with Tiffany? She is Transmute with Tiff on Instagram, and she's here to talk about her life, her perspective. It's just so nice having women on here to share their energy. And I wanted to accept you. There we go. There we have Tiff. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I'm just gonna actually switch my little mic setup here. One moment.
Okay.
Please. I have so many systems happening. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, look
I
at
can
this.
hear you. There you are.
Okay, Tiff, how are you doing? What's going on?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just excited, honestly, to be here and to chat with you and catch up and update everybody on what I've been up to since Bali last year and just the whole journey and everything. A little nervous, but
I know, it's so funny. We can talk about this all the time one-on-one, and then as soon as we're like, oh, wait, this is going in the history books of the internet, it's I feel the same way every time I just talk in any way on
Yeah,
live. Okay, but before we
100%.
continue, I just want to make sure that this is what I want it to be.
Hmm.
Can you talk over here for a sec and just make sure
Yeah,
you're not muted?
yeah, I'm not muted. Maybe I just turned it down too much. Can you hear me?
I don't know. Talk again.
Hello.
No, I can't hear you here on Zoom. Maybe just unmute yourself totally. And
This is weird. Maybe because I turned off my Bluetooth on my MacBook. I'm sorry.
sorry, this is part of
Um,
it. You know what? It's just behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, guys. I wonder if I just take off my AirPods. Is that better? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, it's great.
Is there feedback now, though?
A little bit, yeah. Okay, go back. Whatever. Screw this portion. I'm sure it's fine. Whatever's happening is happening, and we're just gonna talk.
Okay, sounds good.
What's
What's
up?
up? How's it going? Got your mic and everything.
I know, but I actually it's not even plugged in, so that'd be really funny if I'm not using it anymore.
Oh my God.
Anyways, well, we have the format, which is always great to return to when starting these chats, because I know it can be where do we begin when there's so much to say, and how do
Yeah.
we find those golden nuggets that really encapsulate your experience? So let's just start let's think of the first time we met way back in Oshawa when I came to
Oshawa.
your baby shower. I mean, you don't have to go that far
Yeah,
back.
no. That's so cool. Yeah, it's such a crazy thing. I mean, we weren't really like friends, but we knew each other through friends, and we hung out a couple of times in a group, and it's just so weird that we met each other again at this, time in our lives,
Mhm.
and that like I knew that version of you, you knew that version of me, just even if it was for a moment, you
Mhm.
know. Yeah, so we met way back when. Um, I think I met you when I was pregnant as a
Mhm.
teenager, I feel like. Um, and, and I had a baby at 18. Um, and then my life went into a complete whirlwind after that because I had another baby after that, at 19, and then another one at 23. So I've been just super, super busy, being a mama and just living that life.
Mhm.
Um, but
What
yeah,
is it that prompted you to sort of like take this next step in your life more for yourself? I mean, being a mom is such a selfless act and role, and we've had a few moms join our retreats now. It's just like, what was the journey to making that decision?
yeah, it's definitely like as a mother, you're constantly, giving, you're thinking of your kid before yourself. And um, I was just thinking like you're throughout the years that I've been a mom, which has been 17 years now, and like I'm constantly giving out of, I felt like I was constantly giving out of like almost an empty cup.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to just these past few years, where I just had a lot of, you know, life changes happen, and realizing that the way that I was living wasn't sustainable, and I want to be able to show my kids that I can give from a fuller cup, you know, and that I can take care of myself. Like that's another really important thing to me, is that they see that their
Mm-hmm.
mom can take care of herself, which I never really did previously,
Mm-hmm.
as a teenage mom, raising like toddlers in my 20s. And um, I was in that constant state of survival, making sure the kids are good. And like I was never pouring into myself. So when my world kind of came crashing down a few years ago with the pandemic and with just a ton of, really dramatic life changes, and my health was deteriorating, I really had to, start figuring out, okay, how am I going to live, and how do I want my children to live? So it really started with coming back to me before I became a mom, before I got married, at 20 years old. So before I became a wife. And, so it's just, I didn't really, like, I didn't have an adulthood. So I was just literally a kid having kids, and just, it was, it happened, and I'm so grateful for the life experience that I've had, and now I'm just coming into this portion of my life where it's like it's time to give back to me,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which is tricky, but
You're really saying so many golden nuggets of like, I think the beautiful work of doing this sort of spiritual healing or like looking at our ancestral trauma and really just like the mother and father figures and the roles they play is you start to look at your parents and you're like, I learned everything by watching them. Not really so much what they told me or whatever, like those subconscious behavioral programs of how to love myself, how to make space, how to share boundaries, how to communicate. I learned because they were embodying those things. So you saying that you want to do the work is like, it's the most healing you can do for any lineage in your family, whether it's your children or your parents or even just sisters and close friends. Like you lead by example in so many ways, and it's so beautiful to see like that epiphany moment when it's almost like, wait a second, if I work on me, like it helps heal them. And yeah, it's a story I've heard from like a few people. So it's just so nice to not not feel bad about being what might be seen as selfish, and like it's the most selfless thing you can do is learn to heal and love yourself. That's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, you know, right now, obviously, like my kids are teenagers, and like the things that I'm doing, I'm not seeing that immediate, like, wow, mom, like that's so amazing. I know that they're proud of me, but it's more like whenever I do yoga or I suggest like things like that, they're just like, oh, mom. But like I know I'm getting through to them.
Hmm.
Um, and I know that one day they're going to look back at, all of the hard things that they've been through or that we've been through together, and then look at these few years where I'm really, you know, giving giving back to myself and healing myself and healing them, like the things that they've been through and stuff. And it's like they're going to look back and be grateful for it, one day. It's just that I'm not going to obviously see that, immediately with teenagers. And we all know how that goes, right? But it's
Hmm.
really, being a mom is really sometimes like a thankless job, and it's like, but it really stunts your healing, when you start seeing them as mirrors, and they really reflect to you where they really reflect to you where you haven't, you know, necessarily healed or, had a light on before. And
Yeah,
it's
it's just
like,
like the
whoa, why?
most immersive training program.
It is. It's like, and I have like triple of that. So
Yeah. Wow, so
yeah,
brave.
it's a tough journey, and like having to, go through this process and then still have to be a mom and still show up for each three individual people, it's really intensive. But it's rewarding at the end of the
Hmm.
day. Yeah.
Before you started doing yoga, what was it, like what were you doing before to help you? Like when did you start doing yoga and how did it help you like with your mental health, being a mom and like growing? How did you
Yeah.
stumble across it?
Um, I had taken a couple of yoga classes in my life before the pandemic, and it kind of piqued my interest, but it was mostly at the very beginning, just before the pandemic, actually, where I just was going through a lot on my family front, and like with my husband and the kids, and then the pandemic hit and we were completely isolated, and it really felt like my life was a catastrophe. So I just decided to like look it up on YouTube and start practicing at home, and just kind of like creating my own practice to make myself feel better, to kind of pull myself out of that, depressive state. And you know um just that because my kids were witnessing it all like while it was happening. So I'm like, I really need to find something. So I started doing YouTube videos like yoga. I started looking into meditation. And then I would post like little bits here and there. And then it's funny because my sister reached out to me and she's like, oh, do you remember Sierra? And I was just like, yeah. And so she sent me your page and she's like, she's doing all this stuff too. And then she was also friends with Angel. So she's like, and my friend Angel, she's like, she's doing all this stuff too, all the yoga. And I was like, oh, cool. So I started like, and that's kind of how I like found you guys.
Yeah.
Kind of like, yeah,
Randomly.
at the,
SEO
yeah,
is
so,
clearly not optimized yet. Noting down.
so, yeah, that's kind of how I found you guys, kind of a few years ago before the first retreat.
And
Um,
what made you decide to go on that retreat?
uh, just, I don't know, it just like it was calling me, like the things that you guys were putting out there. I'm like, and I'm not one, I've never really traveled. I've done a couple of, vacations with my family, like with the kids, bringing them to like Disney and brought them to Panama a few years ago. But aside from that, like I was such a homebody and I could never possibly think of, traveling on my own, um, and like, or doing anything for myself. Like it was out of my realm. I had put myself in such a box where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, this is where I belong. I have to take care of my kids. There's there's no room for me. There's no room for growth outside of being a mother, outside of being a wife, outside of, I have an office job as well, that I've been at for over a decade at the same time. So it's like outside of like commuting to Toronto from Oshawa, outside of running to pick up the kids from daycare and like making dinner, cleaning the house, like this is me. Like there's no room for that. There's no room for traveling.
Mm-hmm.
There's no room for anything else. There's no room for speaking up. Like that's another thing too that I've struggled with my whole life is like speaking up, being, even coming on here and talking right now, like, who are you? I have that past version in my head, like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, but yeah, like making that decision to go to Peru, um, was the most terrifying thing in my life. And you would think that having three kids, dealing with all the health issues that I've been dealing with, um, the past like over a decade as well, like those things would be scary. But no, like literally doing something autonomously and making that decision was the most difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just did it. And like ever since then, I'm like, just got to keep doing it. Like then I signed up for Bali. I'm like, got to keep going. Like, got to teach a class, even though you're terrified and you think you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Like,
And
you
you
know.
have been teaching. What have you been hosting out there?
So I've been teaching. It's been pretty slow because I've had a lot going on since I've been back, in October. But here and there, I've been teaching a couple of yoga classes. So my sister has a business. She lets me kind of use the space, before and after business hours once in a while. I've been offering meditation classes at my firm in my office as well.
Mm-hmm.
I hosted my first sister circle by myself. Um, I just keep like, even though I'm going through stuff, even though life is happening, I keep putting it in my head. Like, you have to keep kind of having some experience, you know,
Yeah.
um, and just keep practicing. Like, the more you do it, the more you're going to learn, you know? So it's like, even though I'm scared, just do it. That
It's
same
almost, yeah.
feeling, that same feeling of fear, it elicits like the same reactions in my body, in my cells, in my head, in my heart,
Mm,
like that fear, it's really just excitement.
yeah,
It's really
yeah.
just like unknown, and you have to jump out of it. Um, yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like one of the beautiful things of being a teacher facilitator is that facilitating keeps you in practice, where sometimes as a student you're less accountable, but when you're hosting, you like go to the class, you like feel like it's your responsibility to like, no one's hosting a circle, all right, like fine, I'll host the circle. Like we have to host the circle, someone has to do it.
Yeah.
But it can be like so healing. You think you're holding the container for other people, but it's always like it's so much for you. I feel like doing the YTTs, I'm always like, I can't believe like I'm in school learning everyone's perspective, and like there's always a new perspective on the same things that we're talking about, which is just awareness. We're talking about
Mm-hmm.
awareness in like
Mm-hmm.
umpteen different ways and vocabularies and epistemologies, but like We're just saying like, hey, how are you aware? Oh, interesting. I'm aware this way. Have you ever tried being aware this way? It's like I've never thought about it. You're just constantly finding new ways to like think about things so that your life is peaceful. It's like,
Yeah.
do
And
you have a
it's almost
strategy?
like an awareness as well through like each like you were saying like each person has their own awareness and it's like through their own lens of experiences in their life. And it's like some people will continue to just keep those glasses on for their whole life and like really
Mm-hmm.
coming out to these containers and trying on other pairs of glasses and trying,
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, like that's how Sierra sees the world. Let me, can I try that? And it's like, whoa, like, so it's kind of like meeting community like this and meeting
Mm-hmm.
like-minded people. You really get to share your different perspectives.
I love the
And
ayahuasca glasses.
the
You're like,
best.
let's try. Okay. Oh, that's kind of
Hmm.
fucked.
Yeah, that was life changing. That was life changing.
Yeah.
Seriously, that week was so potent and it was incredible. The
Mm-hmm.
ayahuasca, the first time I ever did breath work,
Mm-hmm.
it was incredible. Like this
Mm-hmm.
whole journey.
What's been the most useful yoga practice that you've like implemented? Like I'm just like breath work is my secret little weapon and mula bandha. Like if I'm feeling sad, a little pelvic floor engagement really makes me feel happy.
I love
Well,
that.
yeah. What's your sort of
Um,
go-to practices?
my go-to practices is meditation. Um, I don't know. I'm a very like meditation and also like yin type
Mm-hmm.
of yoga. And, and a lot of the times I'll have to tap into more of a guided meditation because it's, I don't know, I find it really difficult to guide myself, but I'm getting better at it because it's more of like, I don't trust myself to guide myself,
Mm.
or to be quiet with myself, right? So whenever I feel that way, I'm like, okay, like having the support of another voice is really
Mm.
helpful. But yeah, it's more it's more of like a practice. Even like this morning, I was able to sit with myself quietly for 15 minutes, and that was perfect.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely meditation, and I love sound healing as well. So I'll just like pull out. I got a set of crystal bowls, and I'll kind of sit with myself and just like kind of get that sound bath just for myself too.
Hmm.
So that's kind of fun as well. Yeah.
Beautiful. What's been like one of the best parts about this career path?
I think overcoming that imposter syndrome that I have built in my head that I don't think is ever really going to go away, to be honest. I'm going to
Mm.
stop resisting it. Um,
Embrace
so
the shadow.
embrace it.
Yeah, yeah, really
Um,
though.
yeah, definitely overcoming that. And sorry, what was it? What was that exactly? Did you ask me? Because then I started thinking about how like like
Like,
what? Who are you?
what's been the hardest part about, no, what's been the best part about choosing this career path
The
was
best
the
part.
question.
And it's also just like I work myself up to have these offerings and like the classes, and by the end of it, I feel so fulfilled. I feel like I
Mm,
truly have a purpose, not just, you know, outside of like being a mom, like I said, being a wife, having my office job. It's like, wow, this is it. This is why I'm here. Literally, this is why I'm here to spread this awareness, to spread this light, and embrace other people's darkness as well. Embrace their
mhm,
shadows, embrace their hardships, like the things that I've gone through in my life. It really helps kind of put things into perspective. And it allows me to hold so much space for other people. And I never thought I had that capacity. That
Mm-hmm.
box that I put myself in, I'm like, wow, I can expand this box and other people can come in and other people can just like sit there and I can hold space for them. And it's like, wow. And I've had like little tastes of it throughout, like even just the containers that we had at in Indonesia at the training, and just, you know, practicing out here as well. It's like, wow, it's incredible. And it fills me with so much purpose. And that's what really sparks a light in me, is just seeing that I have that effect on people and having that feedback, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you are such a channel, like the fact that maybe you feel you don't trust yourself to guide you through a practice, like
Mm,
screw that. You're connected to such divine source energy. Like your ability to bring that through and like be a container is
mm.
it's something to be really proud of, because some people haven't found a way to transmute it. Like, oh my gosh, your name is Transmute with Tiff.
Transmute with
Yeah.
Tiff.
Because like it's hard to transmute it. It's hard to make it, especially something accessible for other people to also tap into. Like I think
Yeah.
your story is so beautiful and courageous, and it makes me feel like so humbled in the problems I think I have. And I think that's something people
Mm,
need. We're a little bit too hung up on materialistic problems, like, oh, my Instagram account got shut down, or like, I don't know,
yeah.
like such, so who fucking cares things and like the grand scheme of life.
Yeah.
And it's like that reality check is so necessary.
Yeah, for sure. And
Mm.
it's definitely like it puts things into perspective, kind of hearing other people's stories and
Yeah.
what they've been through. But for me, it's more like I'm on this journey of not attaching myself to, you know, all of the things that I've been through,
Mm-hmm.
and like being detaching myself from that victim mentality, which is such a process. And I think it's going to be a lifelong process for me at least. And kind of sharing my story and sharing, these processes, I really hope like I'm able to, reach through to some people and they're able to relate as well. But I'm just kind of, I guess I'm trying to discern like that being my superpower and attaching myself to who I was in the past and things that I've been through. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a lot. Like sometimes you talk and you're just like, wow, that's a lot. Like, I don't
Interesting.
know. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's all it's going to change, right? Like as maybe you're in this part of your story when you're trying to figure out, maybe it gets to a point where it doesn't feel relevant. But right now it
Mm,
is to help like heal the narrative or try sharing it in different ways. I relate, I've had like these moments in my life I'm like, wow, I there's a lot of wisdom there and how you went through it and got to the other side. And then it's kind of to a point where like I don't even want to talk about that, and
mm,
hopefully I can be seen as valuable outside of the significance of my quote unquote trauma, like there are
mm,
other stories and narratives that are just as potent and just as healthy for us to share. But it's like, don't rush it, if it doesn't feel like it's at that point yet, like it's always going to be valuable. It's always just like how you're relating to it. Is it, yeah,
mm.
it's all just
Yeah.
our awareness of our awareness of our
Awareness,
awareness.
awareness.
Well,
I
maybe
love
that
it.
can bring us a little to the next part, is like what's been the hardest part of this journey? Like what's some for all the young entrepreneurs that are listening, like what have you really learned from this journey? And I know you said you didn't want to tell like too much of your story, but if you feel you have a beautiful re-narration of like how
Mm,
you want to be seen and heard, we are happy to receive that and reflect it back to you.
hmm I think that one of the hardest things is kind of stepping into this other version of myself, and um you know and just taking that leap of, I'm still I'm still going through it, taking all of these leaps, but taking that leap to book that trip, to meet people that you don't know, and to share my story in such a vulnerable and safe space, I think has been, you know, one of the hardest things, facing my traumas, facing my fears, and, you know, looking back at all of those past versions of myself as a child, you know, as a teenager, you know, losing a parent at a young age, having children, losing my adulthood at a young age as well. You know, there's a lot of grief happening along there, and really taking that grief, allowing it to be seen, allowing it to be, you know, alive inside of you, but not allowing it to control where you're going, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the hardest things, is really taking all that's happened to you and not kind of letting it drive you all the way to the end of your life.
Mm.
And
Attachment.
yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
just getting into that driver's seat, getting to the head of the train, and just being like, I'm in charge now. Like, all that other stuff can stay behind in the coaches, and, you know, like, I'm in control.
Mm-hmm.
And it's some of the hardest work that I've ever done, is, you know, looking deep within myself and seeing where I have perpetuated this story, where I have perpetuated a narrative about myself, about my children, about my marriage, um, you know, and just making it a new story, I think.
Saying it out loud, right?
Yeah,
It's,
saying it out loud.
it's like we can affirm something in our head, and then have you ever like went to have a conversation with someone and you say the words out loud, you're like, I actually don't resonate with that, or sending a message too soon reactively and looking back and you're like, wow, I actually like seeing the words makes it so tangible. Hearing the words makes it so tangible. And like I
Yeah,
love what you're saying, that like the hardest part was just sharing, you know, just letting yourself be seen and finding those containers where it feels comfortable. Like my first big share was also at like a retreat. It was like a men's retreat, ironically. It was like the perfect group of people that I could have ever shared what I needed to share, that was like really holding me back in a narrative that I'd never spoken out loud because it had so much shame wrapped around it, and had been
I feel
affirmed by
that.
other people that I did share it to that I should hold even more shame. And it was like, if you don't choose that group of first people, it can also almost be like more detrimental too. Like it sometimes is so good to have an orchestrated place, like a deep
Yeah,
secret sharing place where just like we're all here to radically accept everyone. And like, yeah, sorry, a bit of
yeah.
a rant there as I went down a like nostalgic path in my brain, but
That's okay. We all do it.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that though. Like, I totally relate with that, and I'm so glad that I had you ladies to really hold me, and like, while I went through all of my different, you know, phases in such a short time, you know, like just processing, you know, being able to speak up for myself and speak my truth, and put it out there, as sometimes as cringy as I may have thought it was, you know, there's something also powerful about it, to kind of, you know, speak up for myself, because I never did. I never spoke up for
Mhm.
myself. I never really, you know, like, I never swore. I was always a good girl, you know.
Oh.
You know, and it's just like, again, like that box that I put myself in, and it needs expansion, you know. So yeah, no, I get that.
Mhm. Where do you sort of see yourself like in the future? Where are you heading towards?
Where do I see myself in the future? I don't have a complete, I'm not much of a planner. But I know what I like. I know what I love. And that's this path that I've started taking with yoga and spirituality and, you know, and my Reiki as well. Just being, I know that I want to continue teaching. I know that I want to continue working on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, one day I know I want to travel, you
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know where I don't really like answering that question, to be completely honest,
Don't want to put
because
yourself in a box again.
yeah, I don't want to put myself in a box like I'm going to be like this amazing yoga teacher or,
Yeah.
like I don't know. I'm not the best at yoga.
You're great
And
at yoga.
well, I guess again that's that imposter. I just
Yoga is more
um
than just asana.
hmm,
You
I'm
are
great at
patient,
asana.
you are discerning. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Again, so that's that. Like, I guess I'm not great at the physical. I feel I'm not great at the physical postures, but I know that's what draws me to yoga is the other parts of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
how I feel when I'm practicing
Mm-hmm.
and really tapping into those parts of my body that I was never aware of before and feeling the sensations. And so it's really, I guess it's, yeah, it's not about, I do myself because I can't, obviously split my legs open that wide, or I can't, I have compression here. But yeah, for me, it's just feeling into those sensations and becoming curious and just getting into that state, that meditative state, tapping into breath, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Yeah.
That's something that you've really valued from being part of the Soul School community.
My teachers.
Okay. No, I'm not fishing for answers here, but thank you.
No, no, no. Just meeting so many different people
Mm-hmm.
and from different walks of life, from different cities, from different countries,
Mm-hmm.
and getting to know them in a place where I would otherwise never get to know them. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
even, their life story, but like getting kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say forced into these containers and getting to know and making these friendships. Like I've made so many friends over the past year in just those two, the retreat and the the training as well. And we still keep in touch and I still feel so connected even though I don't see them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously like growing a friendship with you guys as well
Mm-hmm.
has been so special to me because of like in the past it's been really hard for me to make friends, to keep friends because being a mom at the ages that I was, it was really difficult to find people who were on the same journey as me, or you they would be like, oh, she has kids or things like that. It was always really difficult for me to make friends. So that was another part of my journey is just, like being comfortable with making friends and finding like-minded people as well who want to change the way that they're living. And that's all that is, and
Mm-hmm.
become more aware.
Yeah. Giving
Yeah.
yourself time to make friends. Like we
Mm.
get so busy as adults, like you're not going out at recess all at the same time to just
Yeah.
socialize. I actually sent a
Yeah.
message to it's Angel's birthday today,
It is. Happy
and happy
birthday.
birthday, Angel. And me, her, and my sister, like, we're all great friends, but we are like, oh, we shall have recess today and like go get a bubble tea and then like go back to our jobs because
Yeah.
the world needs more recess. And then there's not recess. It's like, yeah, you really have to carve out because all relationships they take time to nourish, and
Hmm.
sometimes you just need like a week with nothing else to do but to connect to like even be open to friendships again. Because I feel myself sometimes I'm like I have enough friends, I'm okay. And it's just because I'm like, I don't know. Closing off that energy, I think, isn't the best for our toroidal field. Like, we want to stay open to receiving and acknowledging the universe. And whenever we're getting to that capacity of like, I don't need other people, it's like, okay, that's always like a point where I'm like, okay, I definitely probably need to go see other people. And I mean this very much when I've been in my basement apartment all day and I'm like, I'm good. I don't need sunshine or food or water. And I'm like, you should probably go get sunshine and food and water.
Totally. Yeah, and it's so tricky too because like I said with me, like making all of these, making new friends and stuff, which has been like difficult for me. It's also like you don't want to just make friends. It's about the quality and not the quantity, right? You don't want to just keep making like, you want to be able to have that connection, especially at, being in my mid 30s now. It's like I don't want to make friends or just know people just to know people. I want to have that connection. I want to, kind of have and have compassion for people as well, So I think that's
You
all
want
that
top
is.
tier friendships. Top floor. No, and rightfully so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quality
Hmm.
humans that are in alignment. It makes life so much easier when the people around you are going the same way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh my God, that's such a good metaphor. It's like living in alignment or not living in alignment is like driving in a car, but everyone literally wants to go a different direction, but you're
Mm,
driving. So like
yeah.
you're just being frustrated even though you know where you want to go. You
Yeah.
have to like compromise all the time. And it's like, how often do we really want to be compromising and how often do we just want things to flow?
Hmm. And kind of just, like becoming that, like doing your own thing, becoming that light, becoming that, I don't know,
Conductor.
just like being in your own, yeah. And like you will attract the right people. You'll attract, who's meant to be in your life at that time. And sometimes people come in for the ride a little bit and then they leave. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, that's beautiful too.
Mm-hmm.
That's so beautiful
Mm-hmm.
as well. And it's like, we don't have to cling on to that. Like, stay in my car. Like, you can go off and on your own journey as well.
That's
Like,
kidnapping.
you stay in
You
my
have to let them out if they want to get out.
child's lock. My child's lock is always on. Stay with me.
Don't be that friend. Let
That's
them
my
get out.
attachment style. No. um, but yeah, that's how I endeavor to kind of allow people to come
Is there
attachment,
any sort of advice as we like,
you
oh,
know.
sorry. It keeps lagging and I think I keep cutting you off. I really don't mean to. Are we
It's
here
okay.
together? Okay. Make the
We're here.
hand sign. Yes. Okay, great. Um, is there anything like any advice you would like to give? A lot of our viewers are like young women that are in this pivotal moment, whether it's just starting their life or starting a new chapter. What's some
Mm-hmm.
advice you have for them and like anything you just want to share with us? Feel free. Mm.
I think honestly, just sharing and putting yourself out there, and taking that feeling of fear and really locking eyes with it and say, hey, like, I see why you're here and I know what you're trying to do, but let's be bigger than this, you know? Let's take that jump. Let's use these feelings coming up of anxiety, of overthinking, and let's just do it anyways and see what happens. Let's mess up. Let's make mistakes. Let's be Mrs. Frizzle on the school bus, like, and
Let's
just
all be
figure it
Miss
out,
Frizzle.
right? Goals.
Mm.
So it's like just jump stepping out of that comfort zone, really, you won't get reprimanded for it. There's no higher, you know, mother or father figure that is watching you from afar and saying, if you do this, you will ruin your life. You know, like that is just a voice in our head, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And when we really just do it and we find out like that didn't really happen, nobody reprimanded us, it's so liberating. It's so freeing. And then you get addicted almost to that feeling of freedom, of liberation. And it's such a beautiful thing. So, you know, book the trip or change your career or do whatever you feel is in alignment and start small. That's another thing too. It's like if you don't actually have to book the trip. Like you can start small with little mini tiny minuscule things, sitting with
Mm-hmm.
yourself for 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
sitting, you know, writing down all of your thoughts, telling yourself, I'm grateful for my coffee today, like, and then grow from there. I'm grateful for, you know, fresh water. I'm grateful for this earth. I'm grateful for, you know, and then, you know, making a list, a mental list of like energy drainers. Like, does that feed me? Does that, you know, is that where I want to be? Do I want to continue feeling on this frequency, or do I want to break out of it, kind of thing? So I don't know if I'm making much sense here, but like
No,
just
you
do
are.
the do the thing, you
Yeah.
know, start small, and then eventually you're going to look back and you're like, wow, I built it up and I did that. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't always have to be huge drastic changes. Some people, yeah, we have obligations, we have, you know, we have jobs to go to, we have kids to take care of, you know, mortgages to pay, and it's like maybe we can't just up and leave and change everything about our lives. Though if you are able to, go and do it, right? But and
Mm-hmm.
if you can't, just start small, you know.
Yeah. And I think also like ask people around you for help. We have
Mm,
such like a hard time thinking we're being a burden, and people love to help. Like it releases feel good chemicals in your body whether you like it or not.
mm-hmm,
So I think once we realize it's actually a gift to let someone help you, like it's an opportunity for deeper connection and like to be vulnerable and be seen and be trusted. It's like there's so much support in our community, and unlearning what the society programs us is this
mm-hmm,
individualized safety, like living alone, it's all or you, get mortgages, trusting in banking systems and everything outside of community, when sometimes
mm-hmm,
the safest, easiest, most obvious answer is our neighbor, is our partner, is someone that like is
mm-hmm,
waiting there to be asked. But we have to like open up, and there really is always a way. Like, there's so much support around us,
mm-hmm.
and it takes effort
especially
though,
if you're
right?
especially if you're not used to asking for help too, you
Yeah, it's
know,
hard.
like, and you're used to like living kind of independently and doing things on your own and things like that. It's like asking for that support is a really difficult thing, or asking questions
It's
like,
terrifying.
how did you get here? Like, you know, like, how can I do this for myself? What are some tools? It's a scary thing to be vulnerable, but you got to do it if you want to grow. You know, you got to do it if you want to feel something different than what you've been feeling,
Yeah.
you know.
Like learn those tools, learn ways to like help you open your throat chakra, help you move
Mm,
emotions from the body, help you like we started this conversation, like working on yourself, and like
mhm.
knowing that that's not a selfish thing. It's such like it's the answer. It's the only answer. Yeah.
So good.
Thank you so much for chatting with me today, Tiff. I
Thank you,
love you so dearly.
Sierra.
I
I
hope
love
I
you
get
so much.
yeah, I hope I get to squeeze you in real life again.
You will this summer. We'll come and see you for sure.
Beautiful. Thank
Thank you so
you.
much for providing this platform and giving me kind of a space to, you know, tell my story and open up my throat chakra and just talk,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. If you guys are looking for any support, and where are you teaching in Oshawa?
Um, but just reach out. Like I'm down to like in, outside by the lake, like just meet up, hang out, do some yoga,
Yeah.
whatever, So just reach out to me. I'm here, like all the Durham ladies. And yeah, thank you so
Beautiful.
much, Sierra.
Transmute with Tiff. Truly. Love you so much. Have
Love
a
you
great
too. Bye,
day.
baby. You too, my love.